And we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coach's
Hello.
Corner.
Yes.
Welcome, welcome to this amazing session, amazing episode. This one is not only a special holiday edition, is this the last one of the year?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's the last one of the year. No, I'm always we're all grateful to share this beautiful knowledge to you and just give you some inspiration and motivation, but clarity on the certain way, and also just adapting everything we shared. Wow, I lost count of how many chapters, but we pretty much been discussing every chapter every week, and it's extremely important to, especially if you want more out of your life, really adapt this knowledge. Don't just let it go in one ear and out the other and you forget it, like you put it down. It's interesting I say that because putting that book down, I kind of, I'm a different version of myself, a higher version of myself when I reread it. I'm sure everyone here as well. We're like, wow, this book was so good. And the content there is just very magical. So I can go on and on and on about it, but happy holidays, everybody. Hopefully, you have an amazing time with your family, your loved ones, and let this also be a part of that love as well. Because we know you love yourself and you're creating the future that you want. And speaking of that, before we start, guess what? You can contact any of us. You can reach out to anyone here. Our call links are in the comments or the description of the post, or you can just message us whatever platform you're on. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, Instagram. You can't miss us. And you attracted this very, very powerful message, because I know what we're going to share is it's it's spiritual and it's very impactful. So my name is Jamel Matias. I'm a certified mindset success coach slash business consultant, and I'm the founder of Believe in the Unseen Consulting. It's all about believing in yourself, believing in that goal, and believing that it's there for you. And I help guide you to that. I've been trained by the late great legend Bob Proctor, and as well as all my client consultants here, my colleagues here, and also I work with individuals, businesses, business owners, basically hit higher milestones, and I help you achieve that. So really grateful to be here. I'm so excited to talk about this, and I'll pass it on to my awesome colleague Lou.
Well, thank you, Jamel. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. And I hope everyone had a beautiful Christmas here. We took last week off as we were enjoying our time with our families and just being present and just being there, enjoying every moment with our families and friends. So, my name is Lou Perica. I am a success mindset mentor and founder of Prosperous Results. And I guide women back to their truth, that they are powerful, they are capable, and they are designed for more. And I help them untie the mindset knots that keep them playing small, so they can live, they can lead, and they can create from their highest identity. And I'm excited about today's chapter because this whole book, and especially these final chapters, they remind us it's not about striving more or perfection, but it's about living the principles consistently, gently, and with intention. So I'm looking forward to, as we wrap up this powerful, powerful book, and as we all share what we took away from this book. Alicia.
Thank you, Lou, and thank you, Yamel, and happy holidays for everybody. My name is Alicia Espinosa, and I live in Sweden, and I'm also certified mindset and values coach. And I help people to create a life that feels good on the inside, that they have already tired of chasing something outside themselves to to create to have happiness there is inside us, everybody, and not outside. So I help them. I also help leaders to be a leader worth following. So yeah, I'm very excited about this chapters or the closing of the book. Yes.
Yay, let's do it. Let's do it.
I just want to say, I just noticed that I don't know what I did or didn't do, but I am not on Facebook, but I am on LinkedIn. I don't know what, I must have not have clicked something setting up. So that's okay. I'll upload it to my Facebook and YouTube after, but you can catch me on my LinkedIn. Okay, Jamel?
Yeah, no worries. And I think you might be able to do it while we're live. If you want to tinker with it, you might be able to add it. Yeah.
Can we?
Yeah, you can. I've done it before while live. So yeah, let's get into it. And there's something that Alicia said at the end there, the closing of the book. Oh, wow. That's such a great segue, right? Because when there's an end, there's a beginning. So let this episode be a beginning for the life you want to create for next year, right? We're at 2025 and we're almost done, right? This is a beginning for you. Let it be a new awakening for where you want to go and what you want to create in your life, because this knowledge that we're sharing will help guide you there. And speaking of that, I didn't mention my purpose is to reveal the hidden potential within you and guide you to your truest desires. So that's what this book is talking about. What do you desire? And what is that vision for you? Where are you going? What type of success you want in your business? What type of monetary goals you have for your business and your personal life? And it's all connected. It's all connected to growth and the formless substance and intelligent substance. And it's all amazing. So let me share something that jumped out. We're covering the last 2 chapters, which were kind of summary based, but they're extremely powerful. And it's a great way to wrap it up. So he says, it is true that existing, I like this because this is funny. Not funny, but you'll see what I'm saying here. It is true that existing governments keep the masses in poverty. It's a bit controversial, right? But this is because the masses do not think and act in the certain way. If the masses begin to move forward as suggested in all these sessions that we've done, whatever chapters we're combining these two, I think we've done 16 or 17 sessions, neither governments nor industrial systems can check them. So this is very interesting. You're rising above the competitive plane. And he says that in the book because a lot of people are like, oh, there's no way you can get rich because the government won't let certain people do this and do that. And the economy won't let you do this and do that. Guess what? Now I'm touching a sensitive part because there's a lot of people that think that way. And that's thinking on a competitive plane with a lack mindset. So that's why he mentioned that right there in the book. He says, it is true that existing governments keep masses in poverty, but this is because the masses do not think. I'll pause for that. And act in a certain way, right? And if you don't know what the certain way is, we talked about it multiple times, and there's a lot of repetition here, and I'm sure we'll break it down again. So if the masses begin to move forward, as suggested, nothing can hold you back, basically. And it says the more people who get rich on the competitive plane, the worse for others. And the more who get rich on the creative plane, the better for others. I didn't understand that at first, but he explains that, the creative plane, it's unlimited. It's never capped off. Like there's abundance. It's infinite. And also the creative plane, you're showing others what's capable. You're guiding others by being a shining example. Now the competitive plane, it's worse because you're kind of closing the door or kicking the ladder down and not letting the other person up, and you're separating yourself from the all. So that's just to summarize that there, and I'll pass it on to whoever wants to jump in.
Yeah, I'll hop in. So as I mentioned when we in the introduction, the work is fairly simple, but it's not casual. So meaning that these principles, they need to be lived, not just understood. And you don't dabble, I think we talk about picking it up and putting it down and picking it up and putting it down. You don't dabble in thinking, you embody it. It's like, excuse me, reading personal development book, but still speaking doubt over yourself daily. You don't want to be hung by the tongue. And the book is not meant to be sit on the shelf. We are not coming on here just to, ourselves. We enjoy bringing this information, but after we go off camera, we all need to be mindful of what we just spoke about, what we're studying, and again, live it. And we all have decades of habits, thinking, fixed ideas, what we all call paradigms. We have decades of that in our subconscious mind. So this is what we're trying to tell everybody and share with everybody, that we have the power of choice. We have the power to say, who do I want to be right now in this moment? Who do I want to show up as? What do I choose to believe? Because no one else is going to fix you. Not that you're broken, none of us are broken, but no one else is going to do your work. Only you get to do the work. Only I get to do the work for me. So I have every day, every moment, I have the ability to make choices and decisions of what the possibility of my potential is for me. But it's something that I need to always, this is why study is so important. Again, we don't just put this out here on Sunday and then go back to whatever we're doing. We embody this. We do our best to live it. Do I get pulled aside sometimes? Yeah, for sure. But I know this to be truth. I believe that with every cell of my body, for this information that we're sharing that has been around for thousands and thousands of years to be the truth. It always comes back to what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what you believe, how you're showing up, and how you're behaving. This gives us our results in life. So when we're always aware of that, we're in control, we're empowered. But if we let the outside world dictate to us, we now become victims and disempowered. So this is why we're all so passionate coming here every Sunday live to share this information. Because if we can do it, if this panel can do it, then you can do it as well. Alicia.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. I was, when you say that I wrote here, no one will fix you, only you will need to do the work. I just came my mind like, Disney, the old video of movies from Disney,
Okay.
where a princess, is like waiting for the if you take the Snow White, like is waiting for the prince to come and wake up her, and the other, there is no prince or princess that will come to you and wake up you. And I also think about the it's like go to the gym. Just because you buy the card to the gym, the membership, it doesn't mean that you will get muscles. You need to go to the gym and work out. And nobody will do the sit-ups if you want to have the six-pack. You need to do that by yourself. And I normally say to my clients that it doesn't matter how much I drink. If they are thirsty, they need to drink themselves. Because I can drink a lot, but that will not help them to get rid of the thirst. They need to drink themselves. So I like also the power of choice, and then we need to make our decision to, like, this is my life, and I have the power to choose whatever I want. And I have my sixer here, because decision is like to cut, to cut is the decision, so it's making the decision that I have the power and I will do this for myself. And it was somebody asking me about investing in self. And I said, that is the best investing tip I can give some person, is investing in their self, to know their self, who I am, with beyond my name and my body. All this is, and when you say we need to believe to live those principles, and of course, when we are new, it's difficult at the beginning, because we have all a pattern how we speak to ourselves, to other people, how we think. And I like to compare that, like when I come to Sweden, because I am from Panama, I speak Spanish, and I could not speak Swedish. And the same was when I moved to Russia, to Soviet Union. I could not speak Russian, but I started to learn the language, and then when I practiced it, I could talk more and more. And the same is with the Swedish. When I spoke more and more, now I've been here 34 years, so I can speak Swedish. But at the beginning, I could not speak Swedish. And that made me not be a fool and dumb. It's because I could not. But when I started to learn, I started to practice, I got better and better. And I still not speak perfectly Swedish, because normally is some things that is only the native people that can. But, I have the choice to speak Spanish or speak Swedish or English or Russian. And it's the same here. When you start to learn, at the beginning it's difficult, but when you start to practice the principles, the learnings, and stay and make reflections, then you will learn more and more this language, because it's like a language, a new language.
Yes. It really is a language, and it's like a spiritual language, because you're learning more about yourself and you're applying it every day, and you're living it rather than just watching or hoping to understand it. You're actually within the picture rather than outside of it looking in. And that's so important to understand, because this is what we do every day, and I receive great joy from doing it. And even just rereading these words, I was saying off camera, well, I think that was on camera. Either way, it's the same for me, because this is the movie of our life. you know, how impactful this material is applying and rereading it. I'm like, wow, you know, what was the quote Bob said? You know, when you reread the same thing, it's not something that wasn't there before. It's something in yourself that you didn't see before, right? So your awareness will grow every time. The more you do something that you may be afraid to do, right? Listen to Alicia's story. That's so powerful. You know, I don't know Swedish. I don't know any other language, right? So that would be uncomfortable for me to do, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I know the power of being uncomfortable, right? And why not be uncomfortable achieving what you desire? Why not be uncomfortable shedding that old self, getting out of that? Lou likes to use the term the skin bag or something.
Oh, flesh suit.
Flesh suit. There we go. Flesh
skin bag.
So getting out of that, right? So, and becoming a higher version of yourself, right? I like to use the onion. You want to shed the layers of onion to get to the core of who you really are, which is a spiritual being. That's why you desire growth and you desire more. And, you know, he says here, when you rise above the competitive system of industry and enter upon the creative plane of thought, you will rise above all these things and become a citizen of another kingdom. That was so massive, because it really spoke to me, because he's saying a lot of us operate on this physical plane and we think that's all there is. And he's really waking you up there to what's called intellectual faculties, your imagination, right? The power of the will, etc. So without using your imagination, you won't have a vision of where you're going. This is why a vision is so key. You have to know what you really want. And Bob screams it, what do you want? What do you really want? And that is a very profound question to ask yourself, because it's going to give you direction and it's going to give you that vision. That vision is key. That vision is key. So you're rising above the competitive system. What is that? That's the competitive plane where majority of people operate. Oh, I got to do more work than you. I got to look better than you. I got to, you know, oh, they got this, but I don't have that. So I got to get more of that. That's a competitive, lack-minded way of thinking. So you rise above everything else when you operate on the creative plane, because it's unlimited. It's abundant. There's no stopping. So always operate on the creative plane. And he says, when you are in the competitive mind, oh, this is so good. You have lost the cooperation of the mind of the whole. Correct yourself instantly. So when you start to dwindle and go down like, you know, a competitive mindset, right? This is where you're separating yourself and you're hurrying, you're doubting, you're rushing, you're lacking faith, and you're just operating on a physical plane. The vibration is totally different in your body. It really is. And you're lacking gratitude. You know, you're going down a whole different path and you're doing all this work. It's kind of like the hamster in a hamster wheel. It thinks it's going somewhere. It's not going anywhere. So when you're in the competitive mind, you've lost a cooperation. I like how he did that, of the mind of the whole. What is the whole? That's the formless substance, the thinking stuff. So you're not working with the unlimited abundance that we all have whenever you're operating on a competitive plane. So this is why I always love that saying, you got to slow down to speed up. This is why I meditate, you know, the slow down, because my mind gets going. I get excited and I'm just working the day away. But then I realize, oh, I need to realign myself with gratitude, with my vision. I got so lost in the doing of it, my vision disappeared, right? And my purpose. So you have to just realign with that. And he says it throughout the entire book. So if you go on in a certain way, obstacles will disappear as you approach it. Or that a way over, through, or around it will appear. So that reminds me a lot when Bob said in the decision article, and by the way, the word decision, a lot of us really don't hold the word much merit, right? We really don't understand the power of decision, most people. So Bob said, when you make a decision, this I will do. I know a lot of New Year's resolutions are happening right now. This I will do, regardless of what happened in the past, regardless of what I'm thinking, negative thoughts, whatever, this I will do. And when you make a decision, he said, all the things, you start attracting what you need. You won't see it immediately, but as you're moving forward with momentum, you'll start receiving exactly what you need at the right time. It's by law. So it's interesting how Bob worded that compared to what's worded here, but they're saying the same thing. If you go on in a certain way, obstacles will disappear. So it's kind of almost like a reverse way of saying it. But you're being guided, whether you understand it or not. And if you don't understand it intellectually, at least feel these words, because they're very powerful. And those are just a couple things that kind of jumped out in one of the chapters, a summary there.
Well, I will say, Jamel, all three of the sentences that you read is what I was going to read.
I beat you. Competitive.
And as you're reading, I'm like, huh. But so this is what Wallace does caution us in chapter 16. It's don't fall back into competition or force. And, looking back when I was in real estate, I was not aware of it then as I am now. But I believe I was watching others succeed, even though I was doing very well. But I think, especially in the early years, you're watching others succeed and you feel that you're behind.
Mm-hmm.
You're not enough. They've got some magic potion. They know the right people. They're connected. And that's how I used to think and feel. Instead of remembering, now I remember that creation is personal and our own timing is unique. So when you release that competitive thought process that you're behind, why can't I do what they're doing? I go to the same classes, I'm taking the same trainings, et cetera, et cetera. When you start to understand, have an understanding that you are your own being on your own journey. And what I find interesting about not only this book, but all the books that we study, AI wasn't introduced yet. So I with speaking with people, many people fear AI. Alicia and I were just on talking about this prior to going live today, how much we enjoy it and how much we love it. But remember, AI does not have the ability to create like human consciousness. It's trapped within its own physical world. It's only speaks from information that's gathered, that's already been gathered. You and I are creative. So I know many people fear that AI will take their job and whatnot, but once again, that comparing, the competing, trying to force an outcome really pulls us back into scarcity, and it disempowers us. It has us forget that we are creative beings. We are creative beings. So, but again, for me, it took studying. It took allowing. It took surrendering. It took, and still does, continues to have conversations, stimulating intellectual conversations with other people that are open-minded to this type of truth. Because if you're surrounded by people that are narrow-minded, fixed-minded, they only want to talk about what's going on in the world, all the disasters and etc. This is why it's important. This is why it's important to not pick it up and put it down, but to always pick it up and carry it with you, knowing the truth that these are principles, these are universal laws, and everything operates by law. And this is what I really, I love so much about the studying, because I feel so empowered, that I feel that the universe is speaking to me, saying, I've got your back, Lou, because this works the same for everyone. But you have the power to make a choice and make a decision. Do you want success, whatever that definition means to you? Do you want to be rich, whatever that definition means to you? Do you want to be happy, joyful, peaceful? All those definitions I get to also define. Not by what others have told me what success, being rich, being happy, being joyful, being peaceful, being grateful, but what I define them to be. And this is why, this is what I believe what Wallace Wattles is saying, not to competitive mind. You have a creative mind. You are connected to universal intelligence. So whether this book, I think, was written in 1910, and here it is, we're about to go into 2020, and everything in the book still remains truth. And that is the beauty of studying these books and having these in-depth conversations with one another. I know we all find joy from these conversations. Every time we get off these calls, we're always so grateful. We're in a high vibration. So this is what Wallace is saying, is to get out of that competitive mindset. You really are perfection. You do not have to strive or force. Just allow and go with your creative imagination, those gut feelings telling you this feels right, this doesn't feel right. That's spirit speaking. So tap into that, Close out a lot of the outside noise. Although it is relevant. You do listen to it. It's part of the world that you're currently in. But know that we all have the power to say, yeah, I heard that, but I choose to believe this. I choose to do this. I choose to make this decision for myself. Thank you so much. Alicia.
Yeah, I did some notice here when you say about the timing that is unique for everybody and your goals and so. And it then make me think, when I started my coaching business, I did the part-time 4 years. And while I was managing a group, and I remember, and even after I started like 100%, I quit my job and I started on 100%, but I was all the time watching what other people did. Like, oh, they're doing like this, I should do that. But the problem there is, like you say, we are so different. I have my, here. We have different frames how we see the world. And I was chasing somebody with the frame like this, but mine is like this, So it is so difficult, because you are chasing something that is not according to your, of course, we can be inspired of other people's frame, but the problem is that we chase according to their values, their frames. We are always feeling insufficient, and then we start to compete, and and it took time for me to stay away from that, and the to set my goals and sit down and think, what are my values? And when I set the goals, and then I start to think, are those goals according to my values? Are they aligned? Because otherwise it will be like mimetic goals, and mimetic goals are unconscious goals we set, that we think that is what we want, but are goals that are from social media. We are influenced from social media. We are influenced from the culture. We are influenced from friends. And as you saw, you say before, Lou, that is very important to who we are, like, spending our time. And it's so strange because I have a lot of prompts, and I have my prompts here. It's a sponge. And if water come and this, all the water going in the sponge, and we people are like a sponge. We take everything in, and if we are not like very careful, we take even more, that even things that are not good for us. And then we will be frustrated because we are chasing something that is not that. And also when I started, I put here study. You say that you start to study, you're looking, but I remember when I started my journey in the study myself, learning who I am. And I was like, oh, when I did my certifications, I was like, oh, I must study, I must do that. And I said, but it's not that I must, but it's something I want. Mm-hmm. Because if you see studies on something that you must do, then the brain will say, no, you don't must. You don't anything, even you don't need to pay taxes, but there's a consequences about not paying taxes. The same is here. If you don't like to study or learn about yourself, then it will be a consequence, So for me, studying is learning more about myself, how I can tackle situations that are difficult, and not to go with a hammer, but to go with the, like, okay, what is the to see what is in the situation that is good also, because sometimes we check the bad part of the things and we go with hammer, hammer, but it's more to see what is there that is good for me. So I think that is to not to go with the I also have that, like, oh, I'm going to be the best coach. But the problem with that is that when I say I want to be the best coach in Sweden, or I need to compare myself to other people. So I decided that I want to be the best me. The best me. And it's why I'm learning. And sometimes, like today, I say something to a person that I feel like, oh my gosh, that was not leaving a person with the impression of increase. And at the moment, I took the hammer and I said, wait a minute. I say that not because I wanted to say that. I just come and I sent a message to the person and said, sorry, I was not and it's a learning. It's not like to be perfect all the time. We are not perfect. It's like learning all the time. And I stay and they will say, okay, what make me say that? And I say, oh, because one of my values was not respected. And then my animalic brain came like to defend me. Yeah, it's like wanted to defend me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't so good. So I needed to take a step back and reflect. And I said, oh my gosh, yeah, okay. So it's the learning all the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
At least you have the best.
Sorry, say that again, Lou.
I say she has props. Who would have
Yeah.
a son?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, you're going all out, the end the science of getting rich, but your props there. I don't know what else Alicia has behind that curtain there. So, this is amazing though. I love it.
I don't know, it's like I haven't prepared anything. I mean, suddenly I have that prompt and that, and
That's so funny.
so
Yeah. It's good. It's great for visuals too, and help people understand like really what's going on. So I love it. And that's what makes us all unique. We're all creative beings, right? And we create in different ways, and we even help people in different ways. And, speaking of that, if you're finding this helpful or any of the sessions, make sure you contact us, reach out to one of us, set up a free complimentary call. That way we can get to know you more and also what you really want. Go from where you are to where you want to go. And that's what this is all about. I mean, you can learn so much knowledge, right? But if you're not applying it and living it, nothing changes. Bob always said, is the book in you or is it on the shelf? Right. And if it's on the shelf, that it's not a part of you and you're not applying it every day. And that's where a lot of frustration happens because we become conditioned to study, read, and all this stuff because, that's how we've been pretty much raised and our results don't change. So when you have superior knowledge and inferior results, creates frustration, and that frustration creates the lack mindset, and you actually operate more on a competitive plane. This is so interesting how everything's connected, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So, Lou touched on this about your speech, and Wallace says, guard your speech. Never speak of yourself, your affairs, or of anything else in a discouraging way. Never admit the possibility of failure or speak in a way that infers failure as a possibility. That is so powerful. How many people speak of their affairs in discouraging and negative ways? And I had to really help one of my family members, I'll say that. He's a young boy, and he said, I'm such a loser. I almost started crying right away. Mm-hmm. And I jumped out. My whole spirit jumped out. This is in front of, his family and significant, and I said, no, what did you say? And he was pausing to say it again. I saw the hesitancy. And I said, no, you're a winner. You're a winner. And you're winning, right? I said, say, are you a winner? He said, I'm a winner. And he runs off. But this goes to that sponge that Alicia showed. right? It starts at an early age. Our mental conditioning, it defines our entire life. And this is where I get very, very passionate, because I didn't really have that in my childhood to correct my thinking about limiting beliefs. Now I understand it. And it's a very personal experience to help other people never have a limiting mindset of themselves. They carry that from childhood to adulthood and didn't understand, like, why aren't things happening for me? And you get caught in this identity as that so-called loser identity. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal is the definition of success. So what is it that you want? What are you becoming? You know? And he says also, you can create what you want. Then look at this. Look at the segue. You can create what you want. And you are above fear when you're operating on the creative plane. What is fear? Just like, the law of polarity, there's left, right, up, down, hot, cold. And fear and doubt is based on lack of knowledge, right? Ignorance, simply not knowing, to know thyself. So if you don't know who you are and where you're going, that creates that competitive, lack-minded, it creates your whole life on a negative polarity. So you want to move to faith, abundance, knowledge. Even I love how Wallace says, he says, never speak of yourself or your affairs of anything else in a discouraging way. So he basically saying, don't even acknowledge anything negative, even in your mind, especially out of your mouth, because you say it, the universe hears everything, So, and he says, always speak in terms of advancement. To do otherwise is to deny your faith. He gets so potent at the end. So if you're speaking in terms of advancement, you can't speak the opposite at the same time. You can only think one thought at a time. See, this is the beauty of it, because you can accept or reject any thoughts in your conscious mind. So if you're thinking something doubtful and negative, you can't be thinking advancement at the same time. We always have a choice in every moment. This is why awareness, understanding yourself, mentorship, take it very seriously, because it creates everything in your life. All the money you'll have, all the trips you'll have, all the fancy foods you might want to try, the car you want to drive, the home you want to have, the success in your business, the impact you want to have on people is determined by, it starts with your thoughts. It's just so important. And he says, keep faith. Oh, wait, let me continue. Always speak in terms of advancement. To do otherwise is to deny your faith. So you're choosing fear when you speak otherwise. And to deny your faith is to lose it. Right? So keep faith, hold to your purpose. So you got to have faith. You have to believe in something you can't see yet. Right? Which is challenging for some people. But guess what? You've been doing it your whole life. You've been believing in fear. You're still believing in something you can't see. We choose. We always have a choice. So hold to your purpose. Have gratitude. Oh my God, gratitude. And do every day all that can be done that day. So you're not hurrying and you're rushing to get everything done. You're moving in a calm, confident manner with gratitude, doing each separate act in a successful manner. This is the certain way, the certain way. So really think about that, because if you're not doing things in a certain way, you're operating on a competitive plane and a lack mindset. And you don't want to rush. When you're rushing and hurrying and trying to get everything, you're operating on a competitive plane and you're lacking the gratitude and you're not in a flow state. You're totally opposite. and the energy got so potent, Lou's Wi-Fi jumped off, but I'm sure she'll be right back. But
yeah, she has unstable internet.
Yeah, she'll be back.
Yeah.
So any words there, Alicia?
Yeah, no, I was when you say about be careful with the speech that you have with yourself and about yourself. And I remember a time that my speech about myself wasn't so nice. And then I realized that I was doing exactly what people when I was a child did. They were bullying me, both children and adults. They bullied me, and then I realized that in my yeah late age
Mm.
that
Mm.
I was also bullying me. I continued to do what they started, and then I decided that I will be very careful what I'm saying to myself, and I will not bully myself. That's it's so no big no, because it's like drinking poison all the time and think that somebody else will die because you are behaving bad about yourself. So I say no. And I also, when I talk with my clients, is forbidden to bully yourself. Like, no, and at the beginning is difficult, you know, to be aware of what you are telling to yourself. But when you train and train, it will get better and better. So welcome back, Lou.
Oh, it's so funny. There were times years ago I would have just panicked. Oh my God, I lost connection. Oh my gosh, I lost connection. Now it's like, oh well. And this is the power, just going with the flow. So I did not hear what you and Jamel were ending with, but I do want to say
We're
that,
talking about the speech, about yourself.
oh, yeah,
And so,
self-speech,
yeah.
sure. But I wanted to just say that the reoccurring theme throughout the book is really change your thinking, your behavior will follow, and then results change. But you don't become rich by doing more. You become rich by becoming more. See, when a woman or when a person starts to see herself in a new light, a different way, when she starts, envisioning herself as another version of herself, a higher version of herself, she starts to think differently. She starts to ask herself different questions, and she starts to make different decisions from that different version of herself. And when we do that, this is when we start to attract new opportunities, new resources, new conversations, and new people in our lives. And with chapter 17, it really boils down to think in a certain way, act in alignment with that thinking, trust the process, and stay connected to gratitude and purpose. So I find that this book, even though it's a small book, right, but it's taken us 17 weeks to go through it. It's very, very powerful. But this is a way of life. This book and all the books and all the lives that we've done, it's just a way of life. And when you can accept that and say, you know what, I feel much better when I feel empowered. I feel much better when I have better conversations. I feel much better when I can speak freely with others that are kind of similar mindset. I just feel better. I feel better when I invest in myself, whether that's through mentorship, coaching, a program, a book, listening to something, because it will always appreciate. The dividends will always appreciate when you invest in yourself. And this is what Waddles is talking about. We get to create our own reality. And it's so funny, even times when something comes across my mind, or I see something, or I hear something, my first reaction might be, because we really don't have control over that first reaction, but the second one we do. The first reaction is, this is how you typically think, this is how you typically react, this is your fixed thinking, this is your habits. And then you get to say, oh, thank you very much. I choose not to go down that path. I choose to think something differently. And I'm deciding right in this moment to think differently, to respond differently, to show up differently. But only you can do it. Only you can do it. Jamel or Alicia?
That was so powerful. Yeah, I'm like entranced by your words, Lou. You know, yeah, it's so good because you have to pay the price, and not just monetary, right? It's what are you willing to do to achieve whatever it is that you want? And there's no shortcuts to it. That's the beauty of it. You have to walk that path. You have to. And that's what Bob kept saying. You have to pay the price. And whatever that price is for you, the time, the energy, the focus, the dedication, you must remove things of a lower nature to make room for things of a higher nature. And that's you really have to do that, because when you make space, you're making space for the greater good. You really are. And the question is, when will you decide? When will you decide to take these sessions very serious and apply everything? Or even see if mentorship would help you towards whatever it is you desire. And I talk to a lot of different people. Sometimes it's difficult for people to know what they really want. And that's tied to your self-image. And it's also tied to even utilizing your imagination, because sometimes we get so caught into just working somewhere just for a check and we've forgotten about who we are. That's disintegration. We either create or we disintegrate. And I got to the point in my life, I was tired of disintegrating. I still have so much to create, and I'm excited every day. I'm excited, and grateful all the time to do these Coaches Corners with my amazing colleagues. I get to express all this knowledge, and all this, what's being impressed must be expressed. I'm doing work. I see it as play now, because you have to shift your perception. And this work thing, some people work so hard their entire lives and they have nothing to show for it. That's a competitive mindset, competitive plane, limiting beliefs. You can have whatever you want. You have to step out and break through that fear. So I, really wanted to share a couple notes before we leave. And I think we can do questions too. We can go over time if you want. People must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. They cannot be in harmony with the formless intelligence, which is always creative and never competitive in spirit. So the formless intelligence is creative. And the pass from the competitive, to the creative mind, they cannot be in harmony. So you can't be in harmony with the formless intelligence if you're operating in a competitive mindset. That was very important to understand. And he says gratitude unifies the mind of people with the intelligence of substance. so that people's thoughts are received by formless. So if you're not grateful, start being grateful. You should walk every day in full gratitude as much as possible. When you're ungrateful, you actually disconnect yourself from source. That's basically what it's saying. Gratitude unifies the mind. Mind is not your brain. It's an activity. It's something called mind body. So it's inseparable. So gratitude unifies the mind of, it says of man, but of people with the intelligence of substance. So you're connecting back to your remembering where you came from. This is so good. So that your thoughts are received. So it's being received. That's your subconscious mind. It just says it in a different way. People can remain upon the creative plane only by uniting oneself with the formless intelligence through a deep and continuous feeling of gratitude. I need to frame that one because I don't remember reading that. You remain on the creative plane only by uniting oneself with formless intelligence through a deep and continuous feeling of gratitude. What are you grateful for right now? You know, we celebrate the holidays. There's a lot to be grateful for. You know, kids, grandkids, significant others, partners, money, gifts, you know, time to have that. People must form a clear and definite. Oh, here we go. So this is kind of summing up the creative way, the certain way, excuse me. It can be a creative way too. People must form a clear and definite mental image of the things they wish to have, to do, or to become. And they must hold this mental image in their thoughts while being deeply grateful to the Supreme that all they desire are granted to them. So that's being grateful in advance, but also having a definite mental image. So what is the image of success that you want to do or to have or to become? This is why a goal is essential. So if you don't have the image, it's interesting to, well, you can be grateful for without an image, but you definitely want to have a goal and a vision of where you're going. And he says, too much stress cannot be laid on the importance of frequent contemplation of the mental image, coupled with unwavering faith and devout gratitude. This is the certain way that we've been talking about. Very simple, right? But what is simple to do is simple not to do. So, and this is a great reminder for myself to be grateful and have unwavering faith and to see the vision in every act I'm doing. In order to receive his own when it shall come to you, you must be active. And this activity can only consist in more than fulfilling your present place. So action. There's no reaction without action. You can't just visualize and dream about it and hope things would just come to you. You have to move in a certain way, right? And lastly, you must give every person a use value in excess of the cash value they receive, so that each transaction makes for more life. So basically, you're giving them more than what you receive. Every time you have some type of an exchange. And he talked about that in a certain chapter. I forgot which one, the advancing person, I think. So just to, recap there, I really wanted to share those points before we ended. I know it was a lot, but rewatch this as many times as you can until your subconscious really starts to feel it. It will. And this shapes every result, every achievement, everything in your life. Have fun with it. Have a lot of fun with it, but take it very seriously if you desire change and more things in your life and to shift your lifestyle. If you aren't satisfied with the last year, that's, a sign for growth, for improvement. Learn, right? Get uncomfortable. Talk to us. Don't worry. Alicia will pull out some props for you, make you comfortable. Lou will have her charm, So, but yeah, that's a couple things. Lou, did you want to do one a couple of questions before we leave?
Yeah,
Or-
why don't we just do one question? Because I was looking at the questions and I thought if we could just each go around and just maybe just a couple of minutes, we can answer. So I liked number 3. How do you personally return to alignment when you catch yourself forcing or doubting? Alicia, why don't you?
Yeah. You know, we talk about questions, the questions that we ask ourselves, and I believe that the quality of our life has also to do with the question we ask ourselves. So when I catch up me with those thoughts, I start to asking myself quality questions like, is that true? Or it's like, what is the best way? How will my higher me take care of this? You know, all this. So reflection for me is very important. Also gratitude. And also not the mechanical gratitude, like, oh, I'm grateful for that and that, but really feeling the gratitude feeling, like I am really, really grateful for this. And also when something happens, it's like, okay, I'm grateful for, as I explained it before today, what happened. It's like, oh, I am grateful that this happened, because then I need to be more careful letting my values here, you know, let me behave in a way that is not good, at least not good in the way I want to be the person, living the person or people with the impression of increase. And meditation is very important for me, and walking in the forest. That being alone with myself and my question, not listen to music. It's more like going for myself and listen to the spirit, to the higher me in that.
Awesome. Jamel.
Mm, that is so beautiful, Alicia. I like that. That's really good. You know, to return to alignment, when I'm catching myself forcing or doubting, I I usually, well, doubting, it always comes, right, when you're allowing your outside world to shape your inside. So I'll remind myself to slow down with gratitude. So I'll basically have a statement. I've been incorporating a new statement. I say I think from the end, and then I go into a gratitude vibration, thanking spirit for basically attracting in that moment exactly what I desire. Even if I'm like, you know, forcing something, I have to kind of slow down, you know, because I just ask spirit for guidance, you know, and if I feel like I'm forcing, I would either, and a good way to do it too, other than just gratitude, I'll reread what I wrote, what I'm grateful for in the morning. I go back to it, and it kind of recenters me in my vibrational state. But I've been incorporating really, if I know my frequency is changing, I say no, I'm thinking from the end, and then I just thank you for, you know, whatever goal or whatever I want to say in that moment, and it just realigns me. If I need extra realignment, I'll also just pick up whatever's next to me to read, and it just kind of recenters me back to, you know, my higher self, and not allow that doubt to kind of take root, because that's really what it is, right? Your thoughts, it'll take root, and it's what is it that you're planting, right? Are you planting poison, right? Or are you planting the most beautiful things you can find, you know, in your life? So it's important to be aware in that moment when it first starts, because if you let it keep going, one negative thought, another negative thought, another negative thought, and before you know it, you're exhausted, or you're back on the competitive plane and you're losing your connection with spirit. So, but yeah, those are a couple things that I've been doing. Yeah, good question.
Thank you both. For me, to return to alignment when I catch myself forcing or doubting, I get out of my human thinking and I look outside. Look outside at the trees, the squirrels, the birds, and I see and I observe, not from loose thinking, but I observe from the divine essence that I am, that is within me, that surrounds me. And I see that life, with or without me in it, will continue. I see that the birds and the squirrels have been provided for, even though they still have to go and search for their food. But everything has been provided for them. I remember that I am the highest form of creation.
Oh no. Right when we're getting there.
I was thinking that she was thinking. Yeah, no.
Oh, I remember that solitude is a state of beauty. So I go within, but not in my thinking mind. I go within and observe. I think about, or I appreciate my five senses, that I'm able to see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and those are all gifts. And as Jamel mentioned, my mental faculties, these are all creative tools. So when I remember the gifts that I have been given to experience this particular human life, it helps me surrender the force, surrender the doubt, and believe and trust and have faith that I am here to live with purpose. I am here for a purpose, and to relax. Still take action, just like the squirrels and the birds still have to go get their food. But everything is provided, has been provided, and will be provided. It's a little deep, a little heavy, but to be honest, that's truly what I do. So maybe that will help someone.
I love it. This has been amazing, amazing session, as I knew it would be. And I just want to express my sincere gratitude to my colleagues here to allowing me to share this knowledge and help some people with it as well. And shout out to Paul. He couldn't be here, but he's here in spirit as well. And watch the other episodes as well, because all this ties into what was shared here today. And don't let it just be knowledge or inspiration. Use it. And we all want the best for you here. Feel free to reach out to any of us, whoever you gravitate to. It doesn't matter. The goal is for you to become, to know thyself, to become, and create the best year of your life next year and beyond. That's what it's all about. So this has been amazing. And wow, we're finished the book. So I guess you'll learn what we'll talk about next session. And of course, it'll always be of tremendous high value. So have an amazing, happy new year, everybody. And much love, many blessings, and much success.
Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you.